Now in today's video, we're taking a look at the ComMarker Omni X, and this is a UV laser that has superpowers, and its superpower is inner glass engraving. Now we have looked at UV engravers in the past. We've actually looked at several of them, and many of them from ComMarker. What sets this one apart is the ability to engrave inside glass. So if you've seen those blocks of glass that actually have an image inside of it, three-dimensional, then that's what this laser is capable of doing. But it's not just capable of engraving inside of glass, it also has the same capabilities of all the other UV lasers that we reviewed here on the channel, specifically the ones from ComMarker and also other brands. Meaning that a UV laser actually is one of the most flexible lasers on the market. If you'd like to be able to engrave on wood, if you'd like to be able to engrave on glass, if you'd like to be able to mark metal, if you'd like to be able to mark slate, plastics, fabric, this is the most flexible laser on the market. But this one goes one step further. Now, there's a lot to like about the Omni X, and ComMarker has really been listening. I can tell you that I, for one, have been giving them a lot of feedback on things that they need to do to stay at par with the market and maybe even exceed some of the things that are going on in the market. And I'm happy to say that there are a lot of improvements in this laser. Now, keep in mind that this is not a review. This is a first look because I have one of the very first units that have been made available for testing. But what I'll say so far is that the improvements are palpable. First, they have now a modern desktop publishing studio that I am testing. And what that means is that no more do you have to use like a LiDAR software. You can actually use something that is more modern, more simpler to use, something that is more desktop-like, and it makes really engraving on glass and other items super accessible to everybody. It's more like using PowerPoint. So if you could use PowerPoint or Canva, you could definitely use this to create wonderful works of art or engrave. They also now have a mobile app. Yeah, you heard that right. They have an app that's going to allow you also to access the laser and do all this other work as well. This is also part of their mobile studio. Now, we don't have access to that yet, but that is also that's coming. They've also simplified laser engraving greatly because now material testing is super easy with their desktop software. Also, managing engraving settings is even easier than ever. They have it now included inside of the software. And this is something that I've asked them to do for a very long time. When are you going to have all your engraving settings embedded in the software so that it's simple to use? And I have seen 3D crystal engraving with other platforms. And typically, this is just a fact. 3D crystal engraving is not something that you can do in LiDAR. You have to use a third-party software. And the third-party software isn't the easiest to use. This implementation, while it's very early, like this is the beginning versions, is incredibly easy. Literally anyone can engrave. And it's really simple. All you need to have is the object or the image that you want to engrave, the dimensions of the glass you're going to be engraving, and then the position that it needs to be in, meaning X, Y, basically center, left, or right on the glass itself. And it's super easy to do. Not only that, but they also have now 3D embossing as well. So if you'd like to be able to engrave on wood, slate, or some other material where you can actually emboss the material, you could do that as well. This is going to come in super handy, especially like if you're doing stamps and things of that nature. Now, the other thing that it was a must-have, and I'm telling you, I've been on them about this a lot, is having a enclosure. And I love the fact that it is a fully enclosed solution. It's really important from a safety perspective, from eye protection perspective. No longer, even though they do include glasses, do you have to have glasses when using the laser, especially when that shield is down. It is safe now to use in an open environment because of the shielding that goes all the way around it. They also then added, and this is something I always do to my lasers, they added an internal LED light. Yeah, think about it, just the simple things. So it has an internal LED light that lights up your work area, and it's great. I'm giving them some feedback because sometimes it's too bright. It's so bright that it's hard to see what I'm engraving. So there's going to be some, I would recommend the changes to just dim it a little bit because it's just too powerful. The other thing is that the enclosure itself contains not one fan, but I think it's 2, 4, 5 fans inside that keep your unit cool and clean. So it has powerful extraction and powerful cooling. That's in addition to what the laser has. So these are just cooling systems in the enclosures as well. Very easy to use, very easy to open, and very easy to close. The other thing that they've improved in this laser, which I think sets this apart from all the Omnis that are out there, because let's face it, there's the Omni 1 5-watt, there's the Omni 1 10-watt, and now there's the Omni X, is that this has accurate focus technology. That basically a beam of light will hit the product that you're looking to engrave, you push focus, and it focuses. And I have a lot of lasers, more lasers than I think is normal. I may have a problem. And I will tell you is that many of them have these type of controls, right? Or measurement devices. They don't always work. So far, my experience with this, what I would call pre-production unit, has been solid, right? This has been a really solid experience. So 3 things: improved software experience, which makes it easy for everyone to use. You have an enclosure, which is going to make it more accessible than ever before. And then you basically have the fact that you have this LED light that lights up your work area. Those 3 things are major changes. So let's talk about the specs so you can see what else has changed in it. But I'll have to tell you, this is, I would say a very mature version of the Omni 1 5-watt, but just with extra features, just a lot more. Now, as we mentioned, the Omni X is a 3D glass engraver, but it does a lot of other things. It will engrave wood, slates, coasters, cork. You think about all those materials, paper, you name it. It will engrave more materials than any laser that is available on the market. And one of the things that sets this laser apart out also is the resolution. It has a 0.001 resolution. That's the dot size. That's how small that dot is. That means that your engravings are going to be very crystal. Think of like if you had a pencil and you think about you had the finest tip on the pencil, think about how fine and crisp the writing is going to be. Well, this laser, it has a finer point than any other laser type on the market, right? The other thing that's amazing about this laser, and we do have a full review of this technology with the Omni 1 5-watt and the Omni 1 10-watt that we'll link as well in this video, is that it engraves without causing char. So we can run and engrave, we can cut wood, we can burn any kind of material, and there is no charring, there's no cleanup required. It's considered a cold laser. Now, this laser comes with 2 lenses, a 70 millimeter lens and a 150 millimeter lens. The 70 millimeter lens is what's used for the 3D marking that we're talking about. So I'll probably have that all the time because I think I'm going to be dedicating this to crystal engraving. It also has various work areas, and the work areas are going to vary based on the lens that you have. So it's going to be from smaller to larger, all depending on the lens itself. It's air cooled, which means you don't need any kind of chiller or water going through the system. And then they claim, and this is kind of hard because I was trying to figure out how can I actually prove this, but it's what, because of the dot size, this is what they're saying, is that it has a 16K resolution. So, when you're looking at something that's 1080p and then you go into something that's 4K and then something that's 16K, that the resolution is so good. When you look at how this engraves, and I'm going to show you some examples of even something as simple as a bamboo pen. I'm going to show you what it looks like on a diode and what it looks like with a UV laser. Many people look at it and they think that it was printed, that it wasn't laser. They can't believe that it's lasered. That's how fine the actual detail is. This definitely has this. Now, they also claim to have a super fast speed. 15,000 millimeters per second is the top speed. Now, I have not been able to engrave at that speed at quality, so I'm really interested to find something where I can engrave at that speed. So as you know, anytime I hear these top speeds of 10,000 millimeters per second, 15,000 millimeters per second, I see this even on CO2 lasers that are the gantry side. Yeah, okay, you can go that fast, but is it usable speed? I don't know how usable the speed time is, so we'll be doing more testing to figure that out. Now, the one thing about UV lasers, and this is true for any UV laser, is that because of the technology, the UV, source, the laser light, has a different lifespan. And this is pretty common across all UV lasers. This has a 10,000 hour UV laser light or lifespan. And that's something that you need to be aware of. And this is why typically when you engrave with a UV laser, especially if you think about those glass blocks, those 3D blocks, they're not inexpensive. They're on the higher end because the type of equipment that you're using, they cost typically more and the detail is a lot better. So expect all the same capabilities that you have with the Omni 5, same capabilities that you see with the Omni 10, 1.5 and 1.10, but this one can do the 3D engraving. And I'll tell you, it is super easy. I'm going to show you how the software works. And the cool thing is that for the most part, I've been able to use all the settings that they have without any problems. No guesswork, no asking people for help. It just works. Now, one of the most standout features of the Omni X is going to be this enclosure. And as you can see, this is not a small laser. This is a rather large laser. They have a couple things going on. First of all, they do have a fantastic enclosure that is going to protect the work area that you're in. And matter of fact, you see, I have this in my living room, actually my formal dining room, where I've been doing this testing because I have this fantastic enclosure, also extractor. You'll notice on the sides, it does have these handles that allow you to hold it and pick it up. And everything is tied down here on the sides with these screws that tie down the base, as well as you have your enclosure and your shield. Now the shield itself is really, really easy to operate. All you have to do is grab right here, open this up, and you can see now this is the work area where you're going to be working with glass or any other type of material, and you close it and you're set to go. There's also a sensor in the actual software that knows when the shield is open. So if you're going to start to engrave, it will not start engraving until the shield is down. And the cool thing about it is that the shield does close. So you don't have any kind of problems where you try to close this and then it pops up by itself. It's closed, it's closed. You don't have to worry about that. I've seen other lasers where you try to close them and then closures don't close, and then you have to disable the enclosure close safety mechanism because they just pop open. That's not a problem with this laser here. Now, as we go over to this side, a couple other things we'll highlight. Again, you have your other handle on this side right here. Now on the bottom here, you're going to find your same controls that you see on many other of the ComMarker lasers. Up, down, power, and then this is your emergency stop. Now when you turn on your laser for the first time, you're going to see this green bar is going to be flashing until the laser has been initialized. Once it's initialized, it's going to be solid as you see right here. Now a couple things I just wanted to show you so you can see how easy this laser is to use. First, and I'm going to cover the light right here, you'll notice that there's a little red dot. That dot is your focus dot. All you do is in the software, press the focus, that laser is going to come down, and it already did. I'm going to pull back a little bit so you guys can see that happen again. And I'm actually going to take it out of focus. Let me go ahead and move it back up. So it's up, and I'm going to hit that focus button again. There it goes. And you notice how it comes down automatically. So now it's focused to this piece of acrylic. If, let's say, for example, I want to focus it because I'm working on some corks here. Here you have the bottle stoppers, right? I have it right here. Now if I hit focus again, it's going to focus to that specific point. Go ahead and do that. And you get feedback from the software telling you if you're at focus height or not. So it really simplifies things completely. So you don't really have to take out a ruler. And given this enclosure model, it's kind of hard to put a ruler here anyway. So it's really nice that it has that function. Now ComMarker has put in a lot of work into the desktop software. And this is another area that I'd given them a lot of feedback on, making things simpler. Let's modernize the UI. Let's have something that's more like a desktop publishing solution and make it easier and more accessible for everyone to be able to laser engrave. And as you can see here, you have the standard tools. You have text, you have draw, you can work with images, you can work with vectors, you can put QR codes in here, which is really cool, right? So if you want to be able to create a QR code for, let's say, a business card, you could do that as well. You have over here a gallery, which has all of these images that you can use. You have 3D relief capabilities. We'll cancel out of this because all you have to do is provide the image for it. You have also 3D glass, and we'll do that as well. And you have text. So if I wanted to add text here, it's pretty simple. All I do is select on the screen. You'll notice it came in with the standard of hello. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this to EBPMAN. And I'm going to hit confirm that. It's been changed. And you notice over here I have all of my different settings. So I can choose the font type. And by the way, these fonts are driven by what's on your computer. Right now I'm using a Windows machine because it's only available for Windows during this beta period, but eventually there's going to be a Mac version as well. You have all the details about the actual text that you're working with. And then also notice here, enable variable text, which is really important. So the enable variable text is going to give you the ability to, let's say if you're doing 20 pencils, and you want the pencils, the text to change on each one, you'd be able to do that as well. So that variable text is a really, really cool feature. Now, if I want to change this to engraving on this side, you'll notice that you have the ability to make changes, or in this case, make it appear or disappear. And you also have the ability to determine that it's going to be a fill or not. And as soon as I hit fill, you notice how that popped in and it's completely filled there. If I want to choose the engraving mode, I have several modes here. I have flat mode, I have a roller mode, and I have a check mode for the rotary. And I also have an extension mode, which I'll show you shortly. You also then have specific settings on speed, frequency, pulse. This is you can't get away with. You have to provide that. But what they also have done is created a real nice material list. So if I'm going to be working with some type of wood, all I have to do is come down and find what I'm working on. Yep, and notice I have wood there. As soon as I choose it, it's going to give me the settings that it needs to be able to work with. That's all there is to it. And if I have multiple items on the desktop, notice that I have selected graphics, which means only the things that I select are going to engrave, the others won't. You do have the ability also to do a contour preview, which means it's going to show the actual characters that are here. In other words, EBPMAN will be displayed. Now in the software, you have several settings that you can work with before you can engrave. And for me, the most important one is always being able to do a preview. I already know that this is in focus, right? So, because if I click on it, it's going to say that I'm already am focused. I'm going to go ahead and do preview. And what I'll do is use this paddle right here to actually see what is being engraved. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on this here. I'm going to bring this over so you can see it. All right, so I have a different image I'm going to engrave on this wine stopper. And what I want to show you is first how crisp it's going to come out. And you can see here the preview. The preview is in place. For some objects like wood, you can see it as well. So if I cover up the light right here, you'll notice that you can see that little frame there. So that frame is indicating that that's the area that the engraving is going to take place. So I'm just using one of my jigs for that. I'm going to close this up. All right. And we'll keep this right here in focus so we can see how nice this is going to engrave now. Now in the software, all I'm going to do is hit start. Now, even though you're seeing smoke coming out of the wood, what you're not seeing is the kind of charring that you typically would see when you're working with the wood itself. One just to highlight, look how nice, crisp, and clean that engrave is. It's going to be a superior engrave than any other engraving that you've had. CO2, the dot size is large. Diode, the dot size is large. But again, the dot size on something like this, and this is going to just take 37 seconds, is so much smaller, and you're getting a nice dark engrave and a crispy one. So look how fast that was. I'm going to go ahead and open up the hood. And just want you to see that one. So you see the top one I was playing with? Take a look at this. Let's get in focus. Look how nice and clean that is. No charring, no burning, and this is client ready, just immediately. Just amazing. Now let me show you how easy it is to engrave glass. So I'm just going to choose 3D glass. And now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to choose a file, an STL. I'm going to choose this queen because I think it has some really nice detailing dimensions. And what I'm going to do is make sure that the glass and the item are the same size. So what I'm doing here is defining the dimensions. So it is 48 by 48. Actually, this is 48 up here. 48 by 48 by 100. That's the size of the actual of the glass. And when you look at what's going on over here, see, you'll notice that I have the actual chest piece, which is a queen, is actually inside of it. Let me zoom that up a little bit so you can see that right here. All right. And what I could do is I can scale this up a little bit. So you notice how it's kind of floating in the middle. If I wanted to make it a little bit taller, I can make it a little bit taller. Oh, too big. Let's bring it back. You notice how now it's outside of the boundaries of the box. And you can see the dimensions here, 190, 187, that's too much. So I'm going to bring it down. And right now it's 31. Let's see if I can make this a little bit taller. A little bit more. Just want to take advantage of the cube. And you can see here the boundaries. So you see the actual glass itself. And you see an X, Y, and a Z here. So this looks pretty good. This is going to be a really nice size. I don't want it all the way in the bottom because if you light this up, you want it to be able to show off everything that's going on. Now over here, what you can see is the extra settings. They've given you all the settings already. So here you have a dwell time setting that's been set up at 800. You have a frequency of 40, pulse width 15. I've been playing with either 10 or 15 on the pulse width. So this is all you have to do. So what you could do now is you could do preview. And with the preview, I'm going to be aligning the actual glass. So got to do that. So we have the image for the laser more aligned, more or less where I wanted it. I wanted to bring it down a little bit. So you can see here the chest piece is starting about like a quarter of an inch, probably not even that, from the base, because I wanted to make sure, since this is a very large chest piece, that it wasn't going to be something that exceeded the actual height. So here you can see the actual chest piece being engraved. I think I did a decent job also on aligning it, so it should be close to the center. At least in my opinion, it's close enough. You can see how the frosted components of the actual chest piece are starting to come out. This is going to take a while, I would say, because it is a very intricate chest piece. Maybe, I don't know, 30 to 40 minutes, maybe a little bit longer. So I'm going to switch to a rapid time lapse so that you guys can see it function. Watching the actual pieces get created is pretty mesmerizing. So you're just looking at this and you're like, wow, this is so cool. So we're going to just let it run and you can see how cool this piece is coming out. Now for the rest of this video, we're going to accelerate the actual crystal engraving because, let's face it, it's going to take about an hour to do this specific one. There's a lot of detail in this chest piece. Now, chest pieces may not be super exciting when it comes to productizing this or selling it. However, I've been doing a lot of research on crystal 3D engraving like this. And one of the things that I'm looking to do, and I think one of the most attractive pieces of this, is being able to create memorable moments in glass. So if you're able to get, for example, a couple, your dog, wedding, anniversary, retirement, now you're looking at a very different use for this 3D glass. You're looking at, on Etsy, you can find these being sold from anywhere from $30 all the way up to $300, and the glass is going to run you about $10. So there's a significant markup and business opportunity as you take a look at 3D glass. Now the other area that I would say is pretty incredible, and you have to see how fast this is, and that is engraving just glass in general. That's where UV lasers really excel. And I have to say, you know, my ComMarker are just killing it when it comes to glass engraving. So here what you see is a shot glass, and the shot glass is being engraved in 44 seconds. 44 seconds to engrave a shot glass, and there's no spray, there's no treatment, there's no washing, there's no prep outside of just wiping it off. And you know, good practice is to wipe it off with some alcohol. But this is all it takes to create a shot glass like this. So I love the fact that there's no prep and there's no finish. It's just put it in and engrave. And as you can see, I'm using our existing jig system just to make it really easy for me to put one glass in and one glass out. It just is super fast. So the neat thing about this machine is that you're going to be able to do 3D engraving and also shot glasses like this in a matter of seconds. 44 seconds to create a shot glass. That's spectacular. Now, if that wasn't enough, we already saw how well this does in wood. And what I love about the detail here is, while you see smoke coming out of this engrave, just pay attention to the charring. Or rather, pay attention to the fact that there is no charring whatsoever on this. And more importantly, this is coming out super dark. Very difficult to do. We use our UV lasers, our galvo lasers, specifically when we're working with bamboo. Bamboo is one of the most difficult woods to engrave with quality. They just destroy it very easily with the laser, so you have to be really careful. And the problem with bamboo is you're either going to be cutting too much or cutting too little, and you're not going to get a dark finish. So what I love about UV is that UV is going to give you a dark finish like this, but because the dot size is so small, you're going to get a high resolution engraving that is not going to compare to anything else that you have on the market. This again is another spectacular use case for a UV laser. And again, this laser not only does the 3D crystal, but it's also doing this type of engraving as well, which again expands your usage. So you can pop out the lens to make it larger, a larger work area, or you could keep it in this lens format and just work with a smaller work area like this. But check this out. You're not going to get that with a standard laser. Diodes can't do this. Diodes can't. Now, the next thing we're going to do is a slate. And with slates, it does slates too.
Now, you can work towards getting a whiter finish on the slates, and I've been able to get semi-white. I'm not happy yet where I'm at with the X engraving. Typically, what you have to do is defocus, and you could defocus maybe anywhere 3 to 5 millimeters and just test with this. But the engraving itself is clean. You'll notice that I am creating some dust because it is lifting up material. The dust that you see in the background is from tests that I've done, either wood or let's say, for example, in this case, slate. So there's some dust that's being lifted. But what I like about the enclosure is all of this is being maintained in the enclosure and it's not going anywhere. If there's one negative thing I would say about the enclosure is the fan noise. The fans are pretty loud. It does have, I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fans. You have an intake fan, an external fan that's blowing air out, and then you have an exhaust fan, plus the fans that are inside of the laser. So given ComMarker some feedback on that, being able to bring this down because it is loud, and even relatively, I say loud when even in its off state when it's not being used. So I'd like to see those fans off and only turn on when the fans are needed because of keeping the heat down for your laser. But here you go. This is coming out, again, great and with low to little effort.
Now, one new add-on to the Omni X is the slide extension, and the slide extension works really well. I have a jig system that I prepared for it. I'm going to go ahead and hit start, and we're going to go ahead and watch the marking process take place. Slider's going to come underneath the lens, and the engraving is going to start just as you can see right there. Cool thing here, again, is that you're getting that UV engrave. That's going to be high quality engrave, high quality marking. It's not going to burn the items, and if you're looking to knock out repetitive items, like in this case wine stoppers, you're going to be able to do this with this laser, but do it at a quality that cannot compare to other lasers. Like the quality here is going to be better than a diode. The quality is going to be here better than a CO2. It's going to be better than any other laser type because of the dot size like we were talking about. This is going to be spectacular. So this will be able to get through, I think these are well over a dozen in this tray, and it's just gonna make workflow so much easier. So before we wrap up this video, let's go back to the thing that everyone wants to see, and that's this 3D glass. And I just wanna show you how great this engraving is. And this is a really, really detailed chess piece that I found, I forget what website it was, but it's either Thingiverse or one of the other STL sites. And just take a look at the detail here. I'm going to go ahead and put it in an angle a little bit so you can see this. This is spectacular. So what I like to see here is to be able to get a picture of a person in here, an award, something more than just something like this, but you can see the actual potential. And more importantly, what I love about this is that this is beta still. Like in my case, when I look at the actual software itself, the software has a long way to go, but this is giving you kind of a sense of what you can expect and the quality that you're getting. I'm really, really impressed with the fact that they're doing so well with new software, that they're doing so well with the actual technology itself, and that you're getting these amazing, again, 3D glass images inside of an item like this. So guys, that wraps up our review. See you in the next video.